We about to start off the first scary story that we did in a minute. And we're going to keep going until I become scared. I do not get scared easily. So we just going to keep going until I become scared. I don't get scared easily. And I'm going to be checking in, making sure they don't get scared out either. The ones in chat. I'm going to make sure they don't get scared out either.
My name is Josh Roberts, and it's been a year since I was abducted. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was walking home from school. It was about 6 p.m. and there was a full moon and a chill in the air. I stepped off the bus, and for the first time, someone else got off with me. I'd never seen this new kid at school before. I could hear footsteps behind me. I took a quick glance and saw the kid walking at a brisk pace. I thought he was following me, so I took a left, which wasn't my usual route. I looked around again and saw him take the same left. My heart started pumping and my legs started shaking at the sound of the footsteps as they got louder and faster. I then panicked and started running. I remembered a shortcut in the nearby forest to my neighborhood, so I ran as fast as my legs could carry me.
"Hey kid, wait up!"
What the
said a
fuck?
heavy voice from behind me. I tried my hardest not to stumble on the logs and boulders in my path. I could hear the sound of sticks and leaves being broken by some fast, heavy footsteps. My legs started throbbing as the adrenaline wore off, so I took a detour towards a playground. I stopped to catch my breath, looking around for somewhere to hide. Then it went silent. I was doubtful that I lost him. I took my phone out to call the police when I spotted a local news article. Caution. There is a suspicious man on the loose. He escaped the local prison and assaulted an officer.
Hell no.
Beware. He may look like a teen, but he is in his 20s. If you see him, call 911 immediately and lock your door. My mind started rushing with thoughts, and I started to panic. All of a sudden, someone started choking me with their arm. I tried to fight back, but they were so strong.
Punch him in the dick.
I didn't stand a chance. My feelings of hope began to diminish as I slowly blacked out. I awoke to find myself in a dark, damp room that looked like a basement. The floor was hard and cold. There were no windows, but there was a staircase and a bathroom. I tried to move, but I was tied up with a thick rope.
He about to get Jeffrey Dahmer.
I got him. How much was the deal? 200?
Listen, you gotta do a little better than that. Okay, fine. You'd better bring the right amount.
Or you'll be tied up like that kid.
What? Are they selling me? The guy sounded mad and anxious with whomever he was talking to. Right after he hung up, he opened the door and walked down the stairs with an evil smile. "Let go of me!" I exclaimed as he taunted me. My arms started to fall asleep due to the tightness of the rope. He came closer to me and I spat in his face. He looked at me in sheer rage.
Oh, shit. Oh.
Then the doorbell rang, followed by pounding on the door.
Oh, fuck.
The guy grabbed some tape.
You scared?
And
I'm not scared. This shit's
scream
not
for
scary.
help. He slowly backed off, signaling me to keep quiet, and ran towards the front door. I looked around, trying to see what I could use to untie these ropes. I spotted a rusty, sharp edge sticking out of the wall. This was my one hope. I successfully got up and tried with all my might to reach it. As I was trying to cut the rope from my hands, I could hear the commotion upstairs getting heated. I managed to free myself from the ropes when I heard the front door slam. The silence was terrifying. I was frozen in fear. Footsteps started coming towards the door. I choked and shuffled back to my original position, arms behind my back, wrists tightly locked together.
That's
"Now
smart.
where were we?" said the man. He walked towards me, grabbed my ankles, and started dragging me when the phone rang. He dropped me instantly and charged upstairs. I wasn't going to lose this opportunity. I untied my feet,
Hurry up.
the closest thing to me,
Hurry
and
up.
hid behind some boxes. "Now where did you go?" he said as he stampeded down the stairs. I heard him getting closer to where I was hiding. I bolted up from behind the boxes
Hit him.
and saw him checking the bathroom. As he walked out, I struck him over the head with a pole.
Bitch!
He stumbled and fell to the floor. Crimson red pooled around his head. I ran upstairs and out the front door. I stumbled my way to the closest house, screaming. A woman thankfully opened the door. She was shocked and fearful when she saw me. The police were called and I was rushed into the hospital. They're still looking for that man, even to this day.
That story wasn't even scary. That story was not scary. That story was not scary. I don't care. Who's that? Oh, fuck. Don't fucking do that. Don't. We not doing no who is behind you shit. Don't do that. I'm not scared, but like, I'm not scared, but like, it was, you know, like, I thought it was like, I'm not scared though. I'm not scared. That shit did not scare me. I'm not scared. Why you turn around? Cause there was a fly on me, nigga. Why would y'all let a fly? Would you let a fly be on you? Rate that story though. What y'all rate that story? What y'all think that story is? I'm giving that story a 2 out of 10. Not good. I'm gonna do this one right here. College Horror Story 2. Alright.
Back when I was in college, me and my best friend Miko heard a rumor that our dormitory was haunted. I didn't encounter anything in the 2 years of staying there, so I was skeptical. I could see why the rumor started. Our dorm was kinda creepy, and Miko was convinced it was true. One day, I placed a hot cup of coffee in the sink and said, "If this cup magically empties itself by the time we get back from school, I'll believe you." "Deal. Wanna bet on it?" "Come on, you won't bet on it because you know you'll lose." When I arrived home, I noticed Miko was asleep. It seemed quite weird as he would normally be playing games or cooking in the kitchen.
The fuck is his eyes like that for?
I put my bag on the table and noticed the cup in the sink. I knew it, I said to myself. I started to pour the coffee away when my phone vibrated. "Why are you calling me?"
What the fuck? Who the fuck is
Thought
that?
perhaps he left his phone at school. I answered. "Hello?" "Hey, just eat without me tonight if you're hungry. I'm still at the store getting food supplies for next week. I grabbed some coffee. I noticed we're almost out. Oh, and I tried looking for that green sauce you put in your homemade burgers. No luck, though." "But, wait, another checkout just opened. I'll cook tonight. I shouldn't be too long. See ya." I was confused. My eyes darted around the room as I tried to gather my thoughts. That's when I realized something.
The fuck? No.
I was too freaked out at this point. No.
Bro, I'm not even scared, bro. I turned on the lights because I cannot see nothing. I cannot see nothing. That's why I turned the lights off.
Hey, I hope you're hungry. Oh.
Oh, shit. Bro, y'all know y'all watching this with y'all lights on, bro. Y'all lying. Oh, shit. I'm only rating that story like it was a 5 out of 10. It wasn't even that good, though. I saw something about... Bro, stop saying that. No, you did not.
To XP and just 13 point.
All right, the rest of the half of the video's ads. Okay. Hitchhike. House sitting. It's okay. Okay. House sitting. 8 out of 10. What the fuck? You think it's an 8 out of 10? 3 out of 10 exactly. More like that, Chris. 3 out of 10. CJ talking about some 8 out of 10.
A couple weeks ago, my dad came home and pitched me a small job offer. One of his coworkers was going away for a few days and needed somebody he could trust to watch over his house. The reason my dad pitched this to me was because the man's house has a big CCTV system, basically a camera in every room, and then an operating desk where all screens could be watched on a big monitor. And I'm a computer science major, so my dad just always assumes that I know how to work anything technological. The man told my dad that he'd pay me $200 for the 2 days just to watch the house. Whatever that meant. My dad drove me to the house and introduced me to the man, whose name doesn't matter. The man made it seem like he preferred I stay in the upstairs room with the monitors as opposed to roaming the house all day. That was fine with me though. So when I wasn't eating, I was mostly just sitting in that room with the TV on in the background and doing schoolwork on my laptop. Ironically, the thing I was doing the least was keeping an eye on the monitors. Night came. I started wondering where in the house I should sleep, since surprisingly we hadn't discussed that. So I sat back down at the desk and looked at all the different rooms on the screens to see which rooms had beds or couches. I noticed something I wasn't expecting to notice though. The back screen door was open downstairs.
Oh no.
I didn't remember it being open. I looked through each and every camera screen in a panic. In the living room, a closet door was open. This one I knew wasn't open earlier. I texted my dad to call the man and ask him if he came back home. Meanwhile, I continued watching the screen. On the grainy, dark image, a tall person who resembled only a black shadow on the screen stepped out from the closet. I pulled my arms off the desk as I covered my mouth with my hands in shock. As I did this, however, my left elbow pulled some heavy object from the desk onto the floor, creating a big thud. The person in the image very clearly moved their head up to the ceiling as a response to the noise. They went for the stairs, walking up very, very slowly, step by step.
Is that where he at?
Meanwhile, I got a text back from my dad saying, "No, he's not. I just spoke to him half an hour ago. Why?" I got so caught up in my phone texting my dad to send help that I didn't even pay attention to the monitor. There was a knock at the door. I looked at it and then the screens. The first screen I laid my eyes on was the one showing the person outside the door to the room I was in. When I remembered that door had no lock, the only thing I could think to do was jump out the window into the bushes
Hurry up!
below.
What are you thinking about it for?
I ran halfway down the block and then stopped when my dad called me. I had him call his friend and ask him if he was expecting somebody in the house. The man said he had no relatives or friends who had his key or would ever let themselves into his home.
Job is not that important.
So he called the cops and had them review the footage. I got to watch all of it, and it showed everything. From the moment the intruder broke the glass to the backyard door, to the moment I jumped out the window and him running away shortly after. The intruder was never found. The footage was just too dark to identify his face.
That story was lame. 1 out of 10. 1 out of 10. Did not even move me an inch. Yeah, that shit was just completely trash. I'm gonna do one more llama art one, and then I'm gonna go to Nightmare Tales because I heard that they stuff is very scary. So you know. Let me see. Any llama art one up here I want to do. I can't wait to do Wansi Entertainment though. I love. His is the best scary ones. Me personally. I love his. I love his stories. Those are the ones that always get me scared. Alright, we're gonna do this one. Nightmare Tales is scary, not gonna lie, for real. Are we gonna do those ones?
I'm 22 years old, fresh out of college, and I recently got a job at my old high school as a sort of computer intern in the school basement. The basement of the school is very messy and disorganized, but there is a small 3-person office that's actually very nice.
0 out of 10 for the other story, for real.
Down there. It has 3 nice big desks, 2 mini fridges, a flat screen TV mounted on the wall, and oh so satisfying air conditioning, a luxury the students and teachers cannot enjoy in the school. And of course all the school servers and other computery stuff. I got the job because 3 of my old computer teachers flat out adored me. I could actually consider them as real friends, not just teacher figures, so they all helped tremendously in landing me this job. It's been great, until something that happened a few weeks ago. My 2 co-workers that shared the office with me, Dave and Gary, weren't in the office at the time.
Okay.
They were upstairs working on papers or whatever. I was eating my sandwich during my lunch break when I got a phone call from one of the women in the front office telling me the school was on lockdown and that somebody, possibly armed, had entered the school. There wasn't much that I could do other than turn off the lights because, surprisingly, as nice as this little office was, it didn't have an actual door to it, just a big opening, and the door to the whole basement didn't even have a working lock. For my
only
own
one who saw it. Saw what? What you see? What you see? See, make some rewards. I got you.
safety, I did turn off all the
Rewards to
lights in
see
the
who the
office
last one-
and my computer screen.
You talking about for the last one about this right here? Like whoever stay up longer to watch it? Is that what you mean?
I kept my phone on the desk, texting both Gary and Dave, but they wouldn't respond. I sat down there in the dark, playing games on my phone for like 20 minutes, waiting for the call from up front to tell me to resume working. I had no idea what was happening. I couldn't hear what was going on upstairs from down here. But I was not allowed to make any calls until I was informed that the lockdown was over. Then, the noisy basement door opened. As the creaking echoed across the basement and into my office, I sat up from my seat, wondering if I should call out Gary or Dave. I was eager to get some info from them. Someone then came running down the stairs, and their footsteps were approaching my office. I pushed away my chair and crawled under my desk. Somebody entered the office, but did not turn on the lights.
Oh no. Fuck no.
There was just silence. I can't even describe the fear I was experiencing. I felt like if I made one sudden noise, I'd be a dead man. Suddenly, my phone dinged as I got a text message. I felt my entire world shrivel up and die at that one moment as I clenched my teeth in fear. Footsteps suddenly moved closer to me until I finally dove out from under the desk in capitulation, begging whoever it was not to kill me. And just then, someone grabbed my arm and pulled me up. It was some guy in a red plaid button-up, jeans, and a reddish-black cap. He told me, "It's okay, I'm just down here hiding with you." "What's going on up there?" I whispered to him. He kind of ignored my question and asked me if there's an exit down here.
It gotta be
I
him.
told him, yeah, around that way.
He just helped
Before he could do anything else, I asked him, "Who are you?" There was a brief moment of silence before he started explaining he was coming in to pick up his son when a teacher told him to hide. After his explanation, I checked my phone.
Why do he sound calm about it though?
And saw the text I received was from Dave. It said, "Dude, this is fucking crazy. Some guy with a gun shot Mr. Buckley. He's wearing a red shirt and a hat. Whatever you do, don't come upstairs." I was about to reread that text out loud to the man until I realized. I looked up and felt my stomach sink. The man seemed to catch on to my suspicious stare. Panicking, all I could think to do was to run for the upstairs. A gunshot echoed through the basement and I could hear the bullet ricochet off something metal in the darkness. But thank God the bullet missed me and I made it upstairs. Fortunately, police were waiting at all exits, including the basement exit, and caught the man the second he opened the door. More good news, our teacher Mr. Buckley survived the gunshot. It was later determined that the man and Mr. Buckley had some beef for whatever reason, but that was never revealed. All we know is that Mr. Buckley couldn't have done anything that would have warranted this kind of reaction. And I know that the sound of that gunshot will forever echo in my mind.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. This story did not scare me like at all, but this is the best story. I ain't gonna lie. I don't care. This is the best story. What y'all think? Are we gonna do the actual? We gonna get to the scary shit. See, that was just a little warm up. That was just a little warm up. That's why I didn't go through the rest of them. That was just a little warm up. Now we gonna start getting to the, you know. I'm gonna lock you in, though. I'm about to get scared. I'm about to lock you in, though. Alright, watch.
Genki was heading back home after spending 6 months away being an apprentice of a...
I'm not ready for those stories yet. Let's do some little... Oh, this is Wansi. Oh, shit. This is Wansi. This shit finna be scary.
A coworker told me this unforgettable story about his time in high school.
It's the real scary shit right
I'm going
here.
to write this from his perspective. Central High School in Springfield, Missouri is haunted. I know what you're thinking. Every kid says their school is haunted. But my story is different. I saw it. Central was actually the first high school in Springfield. The original brick building with its tower still stands, but has now expanded with many new wings. We'd all heard the stories about the steam tunnels that connected the buildings and the supposed hangings, but far more compelling was the story of the deadly principal who would whip troublesome students to death.
That's a real school I heard.
That would have happened long
true
ago
story.
when Springfield was a small town, and not the Queen City of the Ozarks. We had heard the rumors, the stories that were likely exaggerated, but being high schoolers, we knew we had to do one thing: be at the school late at night.
Gosh.
I was the one who came up with the idea that we needed to join the drama class. They were preparing a performance of South Pacific, and as I explained to my group of friends, the way to get in would be to join the class as stagehands, stay to clean up after the performance, and then just stay. And that was what we did. Well, only a couple of us actually got onto the crew, but after everyone else had left, letting the others in was simple. We split
I
up
saw your
into
PP move. What the fuck?
3 pairs, myself and Sarah, Rich and Paul, and Michelle and Dan. We didn't have flashlights, and this was before we had cell phones, but the moonlight from the windows and the familiarity of the halls allowed us to get around the school very easily. After about an hour, we began to think perhaps the stories were just stories. We began to make our way to the gymnasium. We started to compare experiences, but everyone said the same thing. They hadn't seen anything, nor heard anything strange. And that's when a chair flew across the gym and
hell
slammed
no.
into the wall.
That's what I would have ran right there.
What the heck? I gasped before I saw something else. Swarms of glittering little things crawling across the floor. They were cockroaches. We'd see cockroaches in the gym on occasion, but usually 1 or 2, not hundreds. "Let's get out of here," yelled Michelle, and we hurried to the nearest exit, a stairway leading up to the 2nd floor.
It was this
It wasn't until we got upstairs that we realized that going upstairs probably wasn't the best course of action, but the cockroaches didn't seem to follow us there. As we stood next to a classroom, catching our breath, we heard loud footsteps down the hall. All of us backed up against the wall, trying to let whatever this was just pass by. As the loud, plodding footsteps came nearer, our tension grew higher. "Oh, screw this," Rich said, and he ran into a classroom, Sarah following quickly after him. The door slammed shut behind them. "Guys!" I called.
No, why the fuck you ain't go with them,
Most
dummy?
didn't notice that the footsteps had stopped. Suddenly, we heard them scream, and something slammed against the wall. And then something else hit it. They kept on screaming. Paul pulled at the door,
Never
but the
mind.
handle was stuck. Finally, after a few minutes of them screaming and something hitting the wall, it opened. We entered the
I tell y'all
classroom.
my fucking
All the desks and chairs were knocked over, and some had clearly been hitting the walls. How they'd gone that far was a mystery, as they were pretty heavy. We found Sarah crouched in a corner crying and babbling incoherently, a puddle of moisture underneath her. Rich, on the other hand, was stumbling toward the window. "Get him!" I called, and Dan ran towards Rich, grabbing him. "Let me go. Just let me jump. Let me die," Rich cried. "Guys, this is enough," I said. "We need to get out of here." Michelle and Paul helped Sarah up, and helping Dan with Rich, we made our way back into the hall. As we stepped into the hallway, all at once, all the doors slammed shut. Then they all opened again and slammed again. Screw this, Michelle yelled, and she and Paul began hurrying down the stairs, supporting Sarah between them. Dan ran after them, and I pulled Rich after me. The cockroaches downstairs had seemingly dispersed as we made our way to the nearest exit. Pushing at the door, nothing seemed to happen. "Come on, push it!" Michelle yelled, and Paul, Dan, and I struck the door together, forcing it open. We pulled Sarah and Rich outside, and as we made our way to the cars, we heard the door behind us slam shut.
Oh, shit.
Dan helped Rich to his car while Michelle and Paul brought Sarah to the car they'd arrived in. As for me, I ran to my own car. As I was about to climb inside, I happened to look back at the school, looking at the tower. There, in the top room, was a window. And very clearly, I could see the outline of someone looking out the window
See, this
directly
shit's
at
scary,
us
bro.
as we made our escape. It was then I realized the most horrifying thing of all, that we knew there was something in the high school. It knew we knew, and we had to go back to
I don't
class on Monday.
I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like that story. That shit, it's scary, bro. Y'all telling me, bro, there's no way that y'all calling this shit trash. That's because y'all are in VC right now talking with each other right now. Like, y'all are literally having a whole conversation, so of course y'all not gonna be scared. And y'all lights probably on, all of that. Imagine being alone in front of a camera at night, and it's dark, in here, and you gotta just watch this shit. Y'all telling me y'all not gonna be scared. CJ, you're fucking lying. There's no way you're just sitting here on your phone watching this video at night and it's completely just dark and you just watching this shit. There's no fucking way. There's no fucking way. I don't believe it. There's no way. There's no way. No, y'all are not doing that. None of y'all are.
This is a terrible incident that happened to me after I performed a devil summoning ritual with my best friend Austin. The reason why I'm sharing this story, which has been buried in my heart for a long time, is to warn all humans that no one should ever summon the devil. Devils are 100 times more cruel, terrible, and powerful than humans. One day, 7 years ago, when Austin and I were teenagers, we
Y'all
discovered
rate that story then, y'all call it. Stop. What y'all rate that story, since y'all called it, the other one trash. Well, since y'all called it trash, what y'all rate it? I know what y'all doing. Y'all exiting out of the stream and then y'all watching it. 5 out of 10, 4 out of 10. Yup, see, this nigga just laughed. It's true. This nigga just laughed. It's true. 0 out of 10, 4 out of 10, 5 out of 10. Y'all gotta be exiting out of the stream, not watching it, and then come back when it's what's it called. Then y'all be coming back when it's
discovered
done.
how to summon devils on
pussy,
the
bro.
internet. And like fools, we actually tried it. At the time, I did not know that we were actually opening the gates of hell. It all started when Austin began to chant a spell, but after a while, he suddenly screamed and grabbed his stomach. Then I saw something bulging and moving in his stomach. Austin screamed for help, saying there was something in his stomach. The skin on his abdomen protruded as if it were about to be torn, and a monstrous voice came from inside his body.
Hello, friends.
Hard.
Then
Shit's
Austin
fake.
started gagging, and something like a red tail came out of his mouth. I thought I was hallucinating. Austin said there was a devil in his stomach, and he asked for a knife to stab himself in the stomach. Before he could do it, his mother came into the room, having heard his scream. Somehow, Austin suddenly felt fine, and he said he couldn't feel anything in his stomach now.
We should do this when we link up. What the fuck you? No.
Believe me, fine, and he said he couldn't feel anything in his stomach now. I explained to his mother what happened, but she didn't believe me. I went home after that and was scared all night. The next day, I got a call from Austin and he asked me to come to his house. I went to his house and he seemed unexpectedly fine. When I asked him what happened, he just laughed. I noticed that his tongue was split in two. Then he came closer to me. His breath was hot and smelled of sulfur, so I was startled and took a step back. He blew a stream of air at me. The air was burning hot. I moved away from it and fell back, covering my face with my hands. I saw that the clothes on my arm where his breath had touched them were burned. Smoke was coming out of his mouth as if his insides were burning. He took a deep breath like he was trying to blow again. At that moment, I knew that if his breath touched me, I would be in big trouble. So I kicked him hard in the stomach and ran away. I ran outside and called him. He answered his phone, and when I asked him, "What the hell is going on?" he answered in a monstrous voice.
Hell is happening. What does the devil do? It destroys, hurts, and kills God's creatures.
I told him we didn't mean to do this and begged him to go back. He just laughed at me and said,
I just got here and you're telling me to go back? I feel sad. I'm going to play with you and this guy for a very long time.
I cried and begged for forgiveness, but all I could hear was the monster's laugh coming from the phone. I was so scared that I hung up the phone. After that, I had no contact with Austin for a while. A few days passed like that. Then one night, I got a call from an unknown number, and when I answered it, it was Austin's mother. She told me, sobbing, Austin. She sounded like she was out of breath. What she said after a while was so shocking that I threw up. She said Austin was found dead in his room. However, Austin's entire body was burned, and his mouth was badly torn. She didn't know what happened. The police came and investigated, but there was no sign that anyone had broken into Austin's room. The only thing that was clear was that Austin's throat was ripped open. What was even more creepy was that there were bloodstains and a small child's footprints all the way from Austin to the window. But the police were never able to figure out whose footprints they were. I wasn't sure exactly what happened to Austin, but I knew it was the devil's doing. But I couldn't tell anyone.
Oh, no. That shit was not good. That shit was not good. We gotta rate that story. That shit was not good. Okay, that one I was not scared of. Yeah, weak. Like a 1 out of 10. For real. Yeah, I don't like that one. I did not watch this story before, but I think I went over it before. Make sure
My name is Anika, and I am from Kolkata, India. This is the story of the man who might have been trying to steal my soul as I slept. So one day I had a dream about a guy who was in his mid-30s. I had never seen this person in real life before.
Well, no, I'm not watching this.
In the dream,
he
lived
happened?
in the countryside. I don't know why I was
It's based on a true story. Oh, yup. Nope. What happened? All y'all was calling me scary. Nope.
there, but he took me into his home, and his family was there. He lived with his sister, her little baby boy, and his mother. While we were in his home, he proposed to me while talking about our future together. He was especially enthusiastic about the details of us doing the usual marital activities together. I told him I wouldn't marry him and ran out of the house. I ran through the countryside to get away from this guy, but he kept chasing me. That's when I woke up. I had never had this dream before, but from that day forward, I would see this guy in my dreams every now and then. I started noticing that whenever I would feel depressed about my relationship status, this guy would appear again in my dreams. It was always the same guy. I started to think that this guy was my soulmate. I'm a very spiritual person. I thought that this person might also be spiritual, and our dreams are where we can connect. I decided to tell my mother about the guy in my dreams, thinking she might provide me with some insight as to why it was always the same guy or what might be going on.
He looked like my dad if he had hair. Your dad probably don't look bad then. Because that dude don't look bad.
on. She didn't care at all. I would soon find out the true nature of this guy and why he might have been in my dreams. A few days after telling my mother about this guy, I was talking to my friend, Sneha. We were talking about the random nonsense that girls talk about together. Suddenly, she brings up dreams. She tells me about a guy who she dreamt of that wanted to kiss her. I got goosebumps.
Oh, shit.
I was shocked. I hadn't told her about the guy from my dreams yet. I needed to know more. I asked her for more details. Where does he live? What does he look like? Every detail that she gave matched exactly. He lived in the countryside. He was tall. His skin was a darker complexion. He had a thin mustache. This had to be the same guy from my dreams. That's when I told her everything. I told her all about my dreams and the guy within them, and that I think he shows up in my dreams when I'm depressed about being single. When I told her this, she looked shocked. That's when things started to get weird. She told me that the first time she saw this guy was the night her boyfriend broke up with her. I had chills. This guy cannot be a normal guy. He has to be someone with supernatural powers. Only it's not the same as the heroes in the movies. This guy uses some kind of supernatural powers to seduce the souls of girls while they sleep, in order to have fun with them, and he enjoys it. He targets depressed girls, and my friend and I were not the only ones he would target. I found news from 2006 where a psychiatrist had taken the time to sketch a man who had begun repeatedly showing up in her dreams. It was someone she did not know in real life. I found other reports online of other people that claimed to have seen the same person under the same circumstances. When I found this, I was shaking. I felt like I was part of something unbelievable, yet it was happening to so many others. Reports of this guy appearing in dreams continued to surface until 2008. Is it true? Does this guy really exist? Did he stop because he found someone to love, or is he dead? I'll probably never know the truth, but I am glad I said no and ran away from him. If he truly was able to control dreams like that, who knows what sinister things he had planned if I had said yes.
That's fucking creepy. I mean, I don't know what to say about that, but that's low-key creepy. I don't know if I like this story or not. What y'all think about it? I don't know. I'm gonna have to go with like probably a 1-0. It wasn't even mid. No, it was like a 1 or 0. See, I told y'all I do not get scared easily. That shit was not scary. Not scary. My older brother went missing. 0 out of 10, bro. Just a creep for real.
Hello, my name is Rose. I have an older brother named Adam who is also my best friend. We have both parents. Our father loves us a lot, but our mother hates Adam because of an unknown reason.
What?
Everything was great until a horrible situation happened. So I woke up one day and saw my father crying and my mother who tried to comfort him. I was little at that time, so I didn't really know what was going on, so I asked my parents if there was something wrong. My father started mumbling. Your brother, he went missing. My father started to cry even more. I was in shock. I can't believe that my only brother, my only friend, disappeared. But how? Nobody knew, and the police, after investigating for a couple weeks, closed the case. We were all sad and couldn't even imagine something like this happening to our family. But one night, I was laying in my bed, half awake. Then I heard a weird noise in my room. It was dark, so I couldn't see anything, but it sounded like somebody was running.
Don't look at my comments.
I was frozen
Being scared.
when the thing who was running
stood
stood in front of me.
Oh,
I was in pure shock.
That is Ghost?
It was Adam? How is it possible? Adam just started giggling and said, "Pranked ya." I couldn't believe what just happened. I even said, "It wasn't funny. We were all worried about you." Adam still laughed. After a couple minutes, Adam stopped laughing and he said, "Let's go play in our parents' room." I didn't understand what was wrong with him. First he came out of nowhere and started laughing when I said we were worried about him, and now he wants to play in our parents' room? But I did miss him a lot, so I agreed, and maybe I could have told my parents about the situation. When we ran into our parents' room and jumped on their bed and started yelling, "Look, Daddy, Mommy, Adam is back." I even pointed at him. My father was confused. He said he saw nobody there. I started to cry and tried to tell him that Adam was there. But Father just thought I missed him a lot, so I even started imagining him, so he hugged me and told me some sweet words. But my mother could see Adam, and she was very scared. Adam did...
Nope. We're not doing that. On God, we're not doing that. Oh, shit. Nope. We're not doing that. Oh, my God. What the fuck? Oh, my God. No. Do not tell me that y'all did not just get scared on this. Please do not tell me. Nope. That just scared the fuck out of me. Don't tell me that y'all did not just get started when y'all just saw this shit right here. If y'all... Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my heart is dead ass racing. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh. Don't tell my heart. I thought I just heard the fucking door creak. Please don't tell me that y'all did not just get fucking scared.
I even started imagining him, so he hugged me and told me some sweet words. But my mother could see Adam, and she was very scared. Adam didn't look normal at all now. He had a huge black grin on his face and red eyes with big black pupils. And he was sitting at the exact spot and exact time my mother killed him.
Oh. Oh no. Adam's behind you, bro. What the fuck? Bro, I'm telling you right now, bro. I'm literally about to keep my lights on, bro. I can't keep doing this. 3 true scary stories. The nightmare of my apartment.
This happened to me while I was on my way home one night. I was living in an apartment at the time. When I arrived on the first floor of my building, there was a piece of paper hanging on the wall that said that the elevator was out of service. No, not again.
Pussy, no,
I
I'm
said
not,
to
bro.
myself.
Shit just
I
scary.
lived on a pretty high floor.
I swear, Famous, if you saw what the fuck I literally just saw, bro, you would literally become scared.
So
that story was the 8 out of 10.
Without any other
7.
choice, I had to walk up the stairs. I was walking up the stairs out of sheer desperation, and all of a sudden, I heard something. Then I began to feel uneasy. I knew that crimes often occurred around my neighborhood, especially targeting people who were alone. When I listened closely, I could hear a pair of men's shoes and a pair of women's high heels walking at the same time. I assumed that it was a couple. You guys are having a hard time like me. I'm struggling to walk up the stairs, especially this late at night. I thought to myself. I sighed with relief and turned my head around. However, I will never forget what I saw at that moment. There was a man who was crawling with a pair of men's shoes on his feet and a pair of high heels on his hands. He was crawling towards me. This happened a few years ago in the neighborhood I grew up in.
What type of shit is that?
When I was around 6 years old, there was an incident where an old man who lived right in front of my house was murdered by a robber. Not only did the robber steal all his money, but he also stabbed him brutally with a knife and then ran away. According to the police, the crime scene was...
Who the fuck just texted me off a fake account and said they see me? Somebody just texted me and said they see me. I'm not even making this shit up. Somebody literally just texted me and said they could see me. I'm not even making this shit. Oh, let me move. Somebody literally just texted me and said that they can fucking see me. Look at this shit. I'm behind you. That's cat. Somebody had to make a fake phone number.
As horrible as it sounds, and unfortunately, to this day, the robber still hasn't been caught. When they moved the old man's dead body and passed by my house, my mom covered my eyes with her hands so that I wouldn't see it. Nevertheless, I could see my neighbor's face through the gap between my mom's fingers. After that, even after a few months had passed, the old man's house wasn't sold. It was because there were a few strange rumors spreading around the neighborhood about his house. Some said that people would always hear the old man's coughing and sobbing coming from inside whenever it rained. 10 years later, all of the people who moved into his house had to leave, and now his house is being used
as a warehouse. When I was in high school, I was crazy about a boy band and used to stay up late at night watching their videos. Because of this, I used to fall asleep at around 3 or 4 a.m. The town I lived in was sort of a new city under construction, so it was really quiet and there was no one outside during that time. One night, it was around 3 a.m., I suddenly heard a woman singing outside. It was an old song, and the strange thing was that the woman was singing just one part of the song over and over again. She didn't move on to the next section. She would just start singing, pause for a minute, and then continued singing again. Out of curiosity, I opened the window and was about to sing the next verse of the song to surprise her. However, before that, I sent a text message to my friend. Hey, someone is singing outside and keeps repeating the same part. LOL, should I sing along with her? Not long after, my friend responded, and then I had to shut the window quietly because I was terrified. The text said, "Don't do that. That's a ghost. When ghosts find someone to harm, they first sing and then wait for the person to sing along."
My name is Anika, and I am from Kolkata.
Those group of stories was a 3 out of 10. 3 out of 10.
This story takes place in South Africa, my home country. It happened last year during July, right after I turned 18. I had a 3-week holiday before I had to go back to school, and my sister...
Hello? 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 Somebody just called me, didn't say anything.
Sister decided to take me and a few friends to KwaZulu-Natal for a trip to a mountain range. It was me, my sister called Kate, and my 3 friends, Ashley, May, and Hannah. The last place we visited before we went to the cold mountain range was called Isandlwana, where the Shaka Zulu army fought Britain with many fatalities. We got to the place at around midnight, since there was no security. So we decided to explore the grounds and look at the thousands of...
I'm gonna make her stop singing by me. Oh, should I bring some food?
Graves placed around the land. It wasn't until after I asked to give it a rest and find a place to stay for the night that my sister pulled a box out of her bag.
Better not be.
It was the infamous Ouija board.
See, it's
we used to believe in the paranormal side of the world, so all 5 of us decided to play. I mean, it was such a perfect place to do it. So we sat down by one of the bigger graves and started playing. But the board wasn't really doing anything until my sister lost her temper and took her fingers off. The key started moving around in short circles.
I saw this already.
Before going over the letter.
I know how my whole family will die.
I
know that's not something you would typically hear out of it.
The village was lovely. The people of the village were peace lovers. They were much enjoying their visit, being surrounded by the beautiful nature in and around the village.
No!
But then, something happened one day while my mom and her cousin, my aunt, were walking and gossiping while eating some corn they bought from a shop. Suddenly, they noticed that their packet of corn was almost empty, even though they bought it just a few minutes earlier. Then, out of nowhere, they noticed my aunt's friend was beside them eating the corn. But she wasn't with them when they were walking or when they bought the corn. She appeared like a bolt from the blue. But without giving it much thought, they started gossiping with her. It was almost dark though, and they had to hurry to reach home. But my aunt's friend's home was very close by and on the same road that they were walking on, so they said goodbye to her, but she told them that there is a shortcut to reach my mom's house, and that she will take them to the house using the shortcut if they want to. My mom and aunt didn't want to, but the friend started insisting that they go with her. Then she showed the shortcut to them. It was a short, bushy path in the jungle surrounded by big trees. It looked kind of scary as it was already dark. So my mom and aunt said no to her, but she started insisting again. Even though they didn't want to go, they felt pressure to go because of her. They were confused and started walking along the shortcut. They were walking so fast that they...
Hello? Huh? Hello? Oh yeah, that gotta be Chris.
Could get home sooner, but while they were on the path, a strong wind started blowing and it started to rain and then thunder. They were very scared. Then, at that same moment, my aunt's friend just disappeared. They were terrified and started running straight ahead. While running, my mom briefly saw a lady in a white dress with a big, creepy smile running towards them. My mom was so scared that she froze in place. My aunt then grabbed my mom's hand and started running as fast as she could. After running for about 2 minutes, they finally exited the jungle and were near the house. They went into their house and were breathing so heavily that my grandparents asked them what happened. Then they explained everything. They couldn't sleep a wink that night, and they were very angry at that friend of my aunt's. The next morning, they went to that girl's house and asked why she left them, not even showing them the way on that stormy night. But then the girl said that she didn't even go outside the previous day and had no idea what they were talking about. The girl's mother was working beside them and listened to the story. She said that her daughter was helping her in the kitchen that day and didn't go outside. My mom and aunt were shocked and looked at each other and asked, then who or what was that girl?
This incident occurred when I was just 9 years old, and it's never left my mind since. I grew up in a small, quiet town surrounded by...
Z, what's your Discord username? I'm gonna send you something. It's TrippinZee. Just send it to my Instagram though. I'll look at it way faster. My Instagram is TrippinZee.
Woods. Everybody knew everybody. Nothing bad ever happened there, and life was good. You get the picture? Well, just outside of town was an old, run-down cabin sitting atop a hill. A cabin which the kids called Dead Man's Cabin. It was called this because, even though it hadn't been lived in for decades, you could sometimes see smoke rising from its chimney in the distance. Police officers used to go up there, expecting to find squatters, but every time they went inside, the place would be completely empty and the fireplace would show no signs that it had been used. Eventually, the police just stopped going there and accepted the cabin as an unexplainable phenomenon. People got it in their heads that a ghost was living there, and the name just stuck. Dead Man's Cabin also happened to be a 20-minute walk away from my house. Although it was obscured by trees, it could still be partially seen from my bedroom window. And since I lived closest to the cabin, my friends would always ask me about it whenever they came over to spend the night. They'd ask if I could actually see the ghost through the window, or if I'd ever gone over there. I'd always say no and change the subject. But on one particular night, my friends and I decided to be a bit more daring. We were having another one of our usual sleepovers. It was me and my two best friends, Mary and Diane, and we started talking about the cabin. I can't remember the specifics of our conversation, but I do remember that our talk somehow turned to a game of truth or dare. Diane dared me to spend 5 minutes inside the cabin.
What the fuck?
And me, being the brave yet foolhardy kid that I was, accepted the challenge, but only on the condition that my friends joined me. Mary and Diane were visibly shaken by this, but since they didn't want to look like a bunch of scaredy cats, they agreed as well. Living in a boring town like ours meant we had to look for adventure wherever we could, and a haunted cabin seemed like a nice change of pace. We were the type of kids who did whatever we wanted, no matter how dangerous it was, and getting the chance to meet a real-life ghost was too exciting for me to pass up. We snuck out one at a time through my bedroom window and headed straight for the woods, dressed only
do you have Instagram?
in our pajamas and bare feet. We had to leave our shoes and jackets behind so my parents wouldn't catch on to the fact that we'd left the house. Needless to say, we were all heavily underdressed for a hike, but that didn't matter to us at the time. Getting caught by my parents and possibly grounded for life was much worse than being out in the cold.
My Discord is just TrippinZee. It's the same as my Discord.
Plus, we all had something to prove, and we didn't want to back out of the challenge. Stupid, I know, but that's how we rationalized it. Anyway, we pushed our way through low-hanging branches and stayed as close to each other as possible. The constant chirping of crickets filled the air as twigs and leaves crunched under our bare feet. The scenery was admittedly creepy at night, and Mary kept looking over her shoulder every few seconds. But we all kept moving forward, determined to prove our bravery. When we finally reached the cabin, we walked up onto the porch and tried peeking in through the windows to see if anyone was home. All we saw was darkness, so we took that as a sign that it was safe to enter. Without hesitation, I reached for the knob and turned it before pushing the door open. The three of us were then greeted by a warm fire crackling in the fireplace. Red flag number 1. There definitely wasn't a fire going when we were looking through the windows a second ago, but now the whole cabin was well lit.
No.
We should have turned back right then and there, but since we'd been walking barefoot for over a mile in 30-degree weather, we were all too eager to warm up by the fire. We sat on the floor, huddled together with our hands and feet out when the front door suddenly slammed shut behind us. We all jumped and turned our heads to the door but saw nothing suspicious. It must have been the wind, Mary said in a shaky
Why would
tone.
the wind blow that way?
As if things weren't creepy enough, we also heard the shuffling of footsteps from the next room over and decided to investigate. Our curiosity was more powerful than our will to survive, I guess. Diane led the way while Mary and I followed behind. We went down a long hallway filled with cobwebs and squeaky floorboards that creaked with every step we took.
No,
Looking
bro.
down, I realized that some of the floorboards weren't nailed down and were just sitting there loosely. Curious, I reached down and picked up one of the boards, leaving a dark rectangular hole in its
He's gonna
place.
pop out.
Strange, I thought. Why would some of the floorboards be removable? Before I could ponder any further, a long, pale arm with a clawed hand reached out of the hole and grabbed my ankle. I let out a horrified scream as my foot was suddenly dragged down into the hole, along with my entire leg. My friends immediately rushed over and tried pulling me out, but whatever held me down wasn't going to let go without a fight. My fear only worsened as I felt multiple sets of teeth begin to bite down on my exposed leg as if it were a piece of meat. I squealed at the top of my lungs as I struggled violently to escape. A jolt of pain shot up my leg as the teeth clamped down harder and harder. I kicked as hard as I could until I felt my foot connected with someone's jaw. That seemed to do the trick as the culprit let go of my ankle, allowing me to pull my foot out. My leg was riddled with teeth marks, but thanks to my flailing around, those teeth didn't break the skin. The three of us then quickly scrambled to our feet, but instead of running out the door, we peered down into the hole out of morbid curiosity.
What the fuck, you
we
dumbass?
all froze in sheer terror when we
What?
saw several pale faces looking back at us. They were people. People living under the floorboards. We saw men, women, even a few children among them. They were all pale and skinny, with red eyes and mouths filled with sharp teeth. They smiled up at us before hungrily licking their lips, making their intentions all too clear. Before we could do anything, several hands shot up from the floor and grabbed our ankles, pulling our feet out from under us and making us hit the hard floor. We all screamed and started flailing our limbs in every direction. We tried swatting the hands away and kicking at the ghoulish...
So they ain't have not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, not 8, not 9, not 10 fucking chances. All these chances they had and they still kept doing it. You could have never even did it in the first place, going to the cabin. Like, when you walked up to the cabin and you saw the fire just automatically start, that was another warning to walk away. You still didn't do that. When you went inside of there and you saw the door closed like that, you still didn't do nothing right there. When you see when you open up the floorboard, being stupid, boom, another thing, shouldn't have done that, then gonna look inside, get snatched, get unsnatched, look back inside again, bro.
Figures
Just
as
dumb.
they climbed over each other,
Just fucking
attempting to
dumb.
bite us.
Just dumb.
Mary screamed as a pale-faced woman grabbed her bare foot and brought it up to her mouth, but Diane quickly bashed it over the head with a loose floorboard. I picked up a board as well and started swinging it like crazy, hurting a few of the creature's arms and freeing myself. Diane managed to pull Mary away and we all bolted for the front door, hopping over the hands as they continued to reach for us. The front door, thankfully, wasn't locked, so after swinging it open, we hightailed it out of there. As we ran through the woods, none of us looked back to see if we were being chased. Fortunately, it didn't take us long to get back to my house, and the bedroom window was still open. We all climbed in, one after the other, and I quickly shut the window behind us before locking it. I honestly can't tell you how we managed to get out of that place alive, or why those things even attacked us. Lots of people went up to that cabin before us and they never mentioned being attacked. Not once. So what made us so special? I can only guess that due to their skeletal bodies, they were too weak to subdue adult travelers and passers-by. But when they saw 3 little girls in pajamas waltz into their home, they figured we'd make an easier meal. I'm glad we proved them wrong. We never told our parents what happened that night, and I moved away a year later. I don't know if that cabin was ever torn down, but I certainly hope no one ever had to go through what we did.
Ice cream horror story. What's about the ice cream?
This is a terrible story that happened to me when I met my friend Cody. He always loved ice cream, and when he didn't have it, he would go wild and go crazy to the point where he had to take tranquilizers. So he was severely obese. One day, when I told him to stop eating ice cream, he looked sad and said, "I tried hundreds of times to stop eating, but every time I tried, I turned into a monster." I got playful and took his ice cream away. Then he took out a knife from his pocket and glared at me, his body shaking. I was
Pause, I'm gonna buy something in our shop.
surprised and gave him back the ice cream, and he licked it up like a hungry dog. From that day on, I never took ice cream from him again. Then one day, while eating ice cream, he suddenly got angry and shouted, "I'm getting sick of ice cream now. It tastes the same every day. Do you know why I eat ice cream? In fact, the thought of wanting to kill people pops into my head about once every 5 minutes, so I eat ice cream to suppress that craving. Human patience is very weak. If 10 minutes pass without eating ice cream, my head will be filled with only one thought: murder. Let me ask you one favor. Get me a better ice cream than this. Or the best pizza, or a hamburger, whatever, it doesn't matter. Don't let the devil inside me wake up." He was in pain and was tearing out his hair. I was shocked, so the next day I found a really good ice cream place and brought him some ice cream from there. He tasted the ice cream and was very happy, saying it was delicious. He regained his sense of stability, but that was by no means the end. One day I asked him if he really wanted to commit murder, and he answered, "Yes, since birth, always. My mom said that when I was crying as a baby, she would put a knife in my hand, then I would smile brightly. And when I was 5 years old, a cruel scene happened to come on TV, and I clapped while watching it. And when I was 7, she brought me a hamster, and I asked her when I could kill the hamster, and I told her I wanted to kill it quickly. So she sent me to a mental hospital, but I couldn't get better even after taking medicine. So from then on, I started eating ice cream. When I eat ice cream, I feel more generous, even if only for a moment." I was shocked to hear what he said, but then he said something even more shocking to me. "The day I get tired of this ice cream, I will kill you. I can't find any more delicious ice cream anymore."
What the fuck,
He said
bro?
that and continued to eat the ice cream with a slight smile on his face.
You just
and my
letting it
legs
slide,
gave
but
out
you gotta
in
do
fear.
something, bro.
From then on, I started avoiding him. Then one day, he sent me a text message. "I'm getting tired of the taste of this ice cream, and the devil inside me is gradually awakening." After reading the text, I wondered if I should report it to the police, but I didn't hear from him for a while after that day. Then one day, someone knocked on the door at my house, and I looked out the window and saw it was him. There was blood on his hands, and he looked so happy. He was pacing around and screaming, while holding an ice cream in one hand and pounding on my door with the other hand. He shouted,
"Richard! I just killed someone! I feel so good! The world is so beautiful! My mom lied to me. She always said murder was wrong, but it's so good! I regret eating only ice cream for so long. Now I finally realize ice cream can never make me happy. The only thing that can give me happiness is murder."
He threw the ice cream down and started kicking my front door. I quickly called the police and the door shook as if it would break. The police arrived a short time later and arrested him. It turned out that he had murdered a neighbor right before coming to my house. I was in complete shock. From that day on, just looking at ice cream makes my legs feel weak. Even now, I vividly recall the look on his face when he told me he had committed murder. That expression was that of a really, truly happy person. Have you ever gone to a park at night? My name is Sebastian, and one time when I was about 7 years old, I decided to go to the park at night around 8 p.m. I was at my cousin Anna's house and I was planning on staying the night, and we soon got bored, so we asked my aunt if she could take us to the park. My aunt agreed, and she told us that we were going to take my cousin's dog, a brown poodle named Coco.
Oh, yeah. Damn, negative. Damn. Hold on, I'll be right back. My dasher here. I ordered me some food. Be right back. I'm going to play this one for y'all. Let me know how it go.
So we put on Coco's harness and grabbed his leash, and we left. My aunt offered to buy us some snacks at the liquor store near their house. We both said yes, and so we grabbed some chips and some juice there and then carried on with our walk to the park. We reached the park, and my cousin and I went running to the field, and first we went and played on the exercise machines. My aunt sat down and left Coco with us, and we were running around and chasing him on the grass field, and then he was chasing us. But while we were playing with Coco, we noticed a strange, bald, middle-aged man that was walking in a circle talking on the phone. We could clearly see he was acting off, and he noticed that we were looking at him and gave us a weird, creepy grin. There was also an old-looking small gray car, which a woman that seemed to be in her late 20s or early 30s stepped out of not long after. Soon after that, the man and the woman got into the car together, and then they came out holding a backpack and a duffel bag. We were not sure what was going on, and we just ignored it because I was around 7 years old and Anna was 10 or 11. So we just continued playing, and we decided to go to the playground, which was the worst decision we made that night. Anna was going down the slide, and I was on the monkey bars, and then we were taking turns on the big twisty slide. We were about 10 rounds in of playing on the slide when my aunt had fallen asleep on the bench and Coco was sitting down nearby. Soon after that, I got tired and told Anna that I was tired and was going to sit down and eat my snacks and pet Coco for a minute, and asked if she wanted to come so we could go home soon. She said no, so I went by myself. As I was sitting down, I saw Anna playing on the slides, and I also noticed that the woman from the car appeared right behind Anna, but she didn't notice. I immediately woke up my aunt and told her what was going on, and she called Anna over. And then she saw the woman, and we also saw the man hiding under the slide, like he was waiting for Anna to come down. Anna made it over to us, and we were both scared, so we grabbed our snacks, and my aunt grabbed Coco, and we left. And surely enough, those people were following us, so we had to take a different path home so we would lose them. As soon as we got home, we called my mom because my aunt can't speak English. And when we told my mom what happened, she immediately called the police, and the police told us something very frightening. There was a wanted duo of human traffickers that drove a small gray car, and the people they described were a perfect match for the man and woman we saw. My cousin and I were terrified, and my mom came to pick us up so we could stay at my house in case those people came looking for us. Now, I don't know what those people were planning to do or what was in that backpack and duffel bag, but I did learn a very valuable lesson from my mom after that. I learned that I always need to be aware of my surroundings and the people near me. To this day, I still think about what could have happened if I did not get tired and decided to stay at the slide playing with Anna. I'm 12 years old now, and I still enjoy walking to the park with my own dog, Charlie, a Jack Russell Terrier. Even though this experience when I was 7 really shocked me, I am thankful that nothing bad happened, and I also learned a valuable lesson. I don't go to the park at night anymore, but if I do, I make sure that I'm with an adult who is awake and active.
What happened? What happened in the story? What's my order, Daddy? Hey, yo, got some Taco Bell. It's like really the only thing that's up, that's open. What happened in this story? What y'all think about it? They almost got kidnapped. Oh, what you rate it? I'm gonna do this one.
It all started one summer afternoon in August. My best friend Mike invited me to his house. Mike was the type of kid you'd call a nerd. He always got good grades, wore glasses, had freckles, and believed in things like dragons and magic. One of Mike's favorite things to do was performing magic for me.
Well, I see this a long time ago.
Every time I'd come over, he'd perform magic.
I'm gonna keep my camera off real quick so I can eat.
But this magic trick, though, would be the one that I'd never forget. When I got to Mike's house, he said, "I have a new magic trick to show you, and it's the best one." He grabbed my hand and we went into the living room where he had a large box in front of his family photo. It was all 4 of his family members in that picture: Mike, Josh, and his mom and dad. The box was about his size so we could fit in it, and his older brother Josh was standing next to it. So I sat down on a couch and Mike started introducing the name of his magic trick. It was called the Vanishing. Josh opened the door to the large box where nothing was inside, and Mike walked in. After Josh closed the door again, he then said some weird words and then yelled, "Poof!" Josh slowly opened the box, and Mike was no longer in it. However, I was in the 7th grade, so I was smart enough to know that under the box was a trap door so he could climb down out of it. So I looked down at the bottom of the box, but to my surprise, nothing was there. No door, no secret, no Mike. Just at that moment, my mom called and said that I need to come home right now. I said bye to Josh, grabbed my backpack, and yelled, "Nice trick, Mike. Gotta go." Everything was fine, just until the next day. The next day, Mike didn't invite me, but I thought of going to his house again. I ran up to his house, stood in front of the door, and rang the doorbell 3 times. His dad came out and said, "Oh, hello. Nice to meet you." He acted like that he'd never seen me before. It was weird, but I asked, "Good afternoon, sir. Is Mike home?" Then I could see his confused face, and he answered, "Mike? Who is Mike?" I felt stupid at that moment, as if I had come to the wrong house. I then quickly asked, "Your son Mike. You have 2 sons." During explaining the situation, I felt irritated, so I pushed him to the side to get into the living room. "Josh," I said, pointing to the photo, and then my eyes widened.
No.
Mike wasn't in the photo. I was pointing to nothing, which would have been where Mike should be standing in that picture. I panicked, and I couldn't believe what was going on here. I then said, "You're your son, Mike. He has good grades, and he's good at magic." Oh, the box. I thought that everyone was playing a prank with me or something, but he looked extremely confused and even terrified. He looked at me as if I was some kind of lunatic. So I ran upstairs to check the box, and I opened the door thinking that I must be dreaming. The room was full of bookshelves and beanbags, all in a circle. It was just a cozy reading room. I was horrified. kept saying, no, it can't be, over and over. That moment, Josh came in the room. I thought, this is the last chance. I quickly took out my phone thinking that I could remind Mike to them by showing selfies that I took with Mike before. However, just when I did, he was in none of the pictures. The one where I gave him a hug, where we went to the other friend's birthday party and took a picture with the clown, nothing was there. It was like he never even existed before, and I felt that moment was like a nightmare. To this day, there is literally no one who remembers Mike in my town. I still can't believe what happened to Mike, but I definitely believe that Mike is real, and he must be somewhere.
What y'all think about that story?
Hi, I'm Aurora, and here's my story. The utterly horrifying memories of that day came back to me as I'm typing this, but I want to share this story of mine. Please note this for later. We live in an old one-story house in our village with an alpha steel corrugated rooftop, so when you step on the roof, it'll sound like you're banging on a thin metal surface. Now, back to the story. I had this one nightmare about 5 months ago that I noted in my diary, and I called it the creepy guy running on our ceiling.
What the fuck?
And it was about me and my family celebrating for something. I couldn't vividly remember what we were celebrating for, but it was around nighttime when it happened. A little later, me and my big sister were in the living room where I was sitting on the couch. My sister and I were relaxing while everyone enjoyed, but for some reason, I kept on looking at my grandparents' bedroom, which was about 7 steps away from where the living room is. Then suddenly the lights went off, and I heard fast and heavy footsteps coming from our ceiling, but no one was there. Everything became silent as sounds of the footsteps slowly started to fade, going straight to my grandparents' bedroom. Remember when I said that our house is only one story, and when you step on our rooftop, it'll sound like you're banging on a thin metal surface? Well, that's not what we heard. We heard footsteps, as if someone was actually walking directly on our ceiling. To be accurate, it sounds like barefoot running on a thin carpet. When the footsteps gone in my grandparents' bedroom,
this is working.
it suddenly stopped.
You're getting scared.
Out of nowhere at all, we saw a tall, tan-skinned man with short black hair, wearing yellow and green basketball attire. He entered by our front door without opening it, since it was closed, calmly running barefoot until he was on our ceiling, making the exact same footsteps we heard earlier. That guy that I didn't even know who went around the chandelier above in a few circles, and then went in my grandparents' bedroom and just disappeared. But unexpectedly, none of us screamed in horror. Even if we absolutely were, we were just dead silent, all gathered in the living room, and weirdly enough, sitting down in the same crisscross position.
My camera off, but Chris is scared. It's working. Chris ass getting scared. Ha! Chris getting scared. I'm about to turn my camera back on though. Hold on.
Strangely, that guy didn't come out of the bedroom. Instead, still running on our ceiling barefoot, he showed up again, running from the kitchen, went in another few circles, and then ran back in the same bedroom. While it was running, we just kept staring at it silently. The guy did the same thing over and over again, coming from different places of the house, but always ending up in my grandparents' bedroom. But the thing that scared me the most was his bloodshot eyes. His face was always staring at me the whole time while running. Weirdly, I still didn't scream. Then the last part of my dream was when he was still running barefoot. But the next thing I saw was his upper body was completely gone, and instead had another pair of legs also moving, attached to where his upper body was supposed to be. I woke up around 4:17 a.m. and something told me to look up as it reminded me of the dream, and I couldn't sleep after that. When my parents woke up, I told them about it, and of course, they said it was just a dream and I should forget about it, and I should pray every night for no more nightmares. Eventually, we all just shrugged it off and continued with our normal lives. But I thought at first that it might be a sign that something bad was going to happen. Maybe since this house is so old, I could get these nightmares sometimes. So it's nothing, and almost gave no attention to it anymore. But I shouldn't have, and I regretted thinking about that crazy dream. You see, I had deja vu when this happened to me like 4 months ago. My grandparents were celebrating their 74th anniversary, and we all decided to celebrate it at the beach so we could enjoy it more. As we were leaving, I made sure to lock the doors for security, since the house was like older than my grandparents. We were all enjoying ourselves together, talking, eating, playing games, and swimming. But that happiness soon was replaced by horror. Because when we got back to the house, I quickly unlocked the front door and was about to go look in the mirror because my mom said my face got red from swimming. The only place I could think about that had a mirror was my grandparents' bedroom at the time. As I opened the door and saw what was in front of me, my heart dropped, and I screamed in terrifying horror as my voice resonated from my throat. My whole family came rushing in beside me to see what was happening, and most screamed, some fainted. There he was. There he was, the same tall guy with the same outfit, the same hair, the same skin color from my nightmare, hanging himself on the ceiling and aggressively pulling the rope, like he's chopping off his head using rope straps. And a little later, he started to scream in agony. I continued to scream, and tears started falling down my face, while I realized that he also doesn't have a lower body. My mom quickly covered my eyes and dashed me into a room as one of them called 911. I know this sounds like too much and looks like it's not believable, but it's true. My mom consoled me and successfully calmed me down. But then the moment the police arrived, I heard that the guy's dead as his head was already chopped off. After a few days, we heard that the guy who committed suicide in my grandparents' bedroom was a soldier in the army who served in Afghanistan and unfortunately lost his whole lower body from saving his men from a grenade that was about to explode. We also heard he got into deep depression and did that in our house. I feel so bad for him, but also terrified. I've been getting help for my mental health for months now, and I'm finally over that incident. I still have nightmares about it, and I know it'll fade away one day. Oh wait, I just realized something. I forgot to lock our back door.
Fuck to the fuck no.
My name is Arthur, and I live in Edinburgh, Scotland. I'm 22 years old. One night I was returning from a party from...
What y'all think that what y'all think that video? Fuck no. Why you say fuck no? Yo, nigga, my lights was on because I was eating. No, I got an excuse for that. My lights was on because I was literally eating. I was literally eating. Give me a break. I was literally eating. I was literally eating. My lights was literally off. CJ, you can't be talking. You took a whole break. You literally took a whole break. You cannot be talking. You literally went and took a whole break. There's no. There's no way Jaden went to sleep to this shit. I would never be able to go to sleep to this shit. I'm a little bit. What do y'all think that story was? I rate that story like a 5 out of 10. It was not scary. You know, Chris rated it 10 out of 10 because he was literally scared. But yeah.
My friend's birthday. It was a very quiet night. No sign of humans. I was driving and I saw a girl. She was standing beside the road. She had blonde hair, blue eyes, a red coat.
Wait, hold on. I'm about to turn off the lights again. I got you, CJ. I ain't forget. Hold on. I'm about to turn off the lights. Right. All right.
A skirt and a white dress wore inside the red coat. I was kind of crushing on her because she was so beautiful. The wind was really strong. That girl asked me,
"Sir, if you don't mind, could I have a lift?"
Yeah, you can get
Sure,
I said. She sat in the back seat of the car.
"So, ma'am, where do you live?"
I said it with a bit of nervousness. She did not say a word, but gave me a small piece of paper. I kept it with me. The address was on the paper.
Okay. What is your name?
I asked.
"Mary Tallish is my name, sir,"
she said.
"Okay, so can I call you Mary?"
I said. Yes, was her reply.
"Well, you could call me Arthur."
She nodded with a smile.
"Well, Mary, what are your
Not anymore, but that one, the show. How did the soldier one scare you? Out of all the other ones, that one scared you?
hobbies?" "Oh, I used to play with my dolls when I was young, but I won't be able to play with them anymore."
It sounded a bit weird, but girls in their teens sometimes like to play with their dolls. You could say that Mary was 19.
Yo, that doll at the end right here looked creepy.
"I also like to dance, but I cannot dance anymore."
She did it with her body.
This time I freaked out a bit, saying it with a little fear.
"But Mary, you can dance, right?" "I wish I could,"
was her answer. We were passing by an old graveyard, and Mary told me to stop by the gates of that graveyard.
"But Mary, it's not good for you to roam alone at night."
What the fuck?
"Don't worry, Arthur. Here, take this jacket and drop it at my house."
Her house was far away. She told me to go as soon as possible. I went to that address and I saw a huge bungalow. I knocked on the door and I saw an elderly woman who looked like she was in her late 40s, but was looking really old for her age.
Ma'am, does Mary Tallish live here?"
I asked. She suddenly burst out crying.
The girl is a ghost and she's dead.
I asked if I could help her. She called me into her house. She also called her husband. The house was pretty huge and beautiful from the inside, too. I also saw photos of Mary.
Yup, she did.
When I saw the woman's husband, he too was looking very old and weak. He looked like he had not eaten for many days. The man and woman told me about Mary Tallish. They said that she was their daughter, their only daughter they could have. They both loved her very much. One night when she was coming back home, a group of men abducted her and took her away. The old couple were worried about her, and after 2 days...
What if that location is the area that she got killed in? And they might have solved
the police
the case.
had found the girl's body.
Yup.
Her eyes were cut. Her chest looked like someone had carved out her heart, and her left hand was cut. Mary Tallish was dead. I couldn't believe what I was hearing from Mary's parents. Keeping control of myself, I gave them her jacket and went outside and was on my way home. Just as I got into my car, I saw Mary Tallish again. This time, she was not looking like a human, but rather a ghost or a zombie. And she gave me a creepy smile. A few days passed, and I found out by researching on the internet that whoever witnesses Mary Tallish should help her. If not, you will be killed the same way Mary was killed. Luckily, I was kind enough to help Mary, and I pray to God that Mary finds peace in heaven.
Don't look back. What do you mean?
Hi, I'm Aurora.
I know how my whole family will die. I know that's not...
Oh, no, I already seen that one. We do this one.
This true scary workplace story occurred in the autumn of 2012 in Glasgow.
What y'all think that story was? That story for me wasn't even that good. She's behind me. No, she's not. She was bad as fuck, though. I'm not gonna lie.
Scotland. The light was fading as it was the evening, and there was a chill in the air. My two friends, let's call them Neelam and Aisha, worked in a beauty salon in the West End area of the city, and were just closing up for the evening, when a group of 3 men wearing ski masks came in carrying blue shopping bags. The men were screaming and asking where the owner of the salon was, to which they both replied that they didn't know. Although both of the girls were scared, they thought the men seemed fairly amateurish. Then suddenly they pulled out hammers and silver duct tape. The men then marched Neelam and Aisha to the back area of the salon where they wrapped their hands and mouths with the duct tape. They then debated on what to do next. Wait for the owner? Or leave? Thankfully, they decided on the latter, but not before they smashed the cash register and some mirrors with their hammers. Surprisingly, the men didn't actually steal anything. They then left the salon and left Neelam and Aisha taped up and gagged out back. The girls struggled for quite a while to free themselves from the tape, but they eventually managed to use a pair of hairdressing scissors to free their hands and remove the duct tape from their mouths. The whole incident only realistically lasted for about 20 minutes, although for them it felt much, much longer. Thankfully, the girls were not hurt. However, they were both very shaken up for a long time after this, and the men were never caught as far as they were aware. Both of my friends quit the salon immediately following this, and they never found out what those men wanted with the owner. And they're grateful she wasn't there, as if she had been, things might have been much, much worse.
The homeless.
One day while I was eating dinner at home, I heard a knock on the door. When I went outside, I saw a middle-aged woman holding a small doll. There was something creepy about that doll. Its hair was a few short strands. Its face was frowning and grotesque, and its skin was as realistic as a real person's skin. The lady looked at me and she screamed,
"Give me something to eat! Anything!"
I'm a vegetarian, so the only thing I can give you is bread. Would you like that too? She nodded her head, and I brought her the bread. Then she snatched the bread and stuffed it into the mouth of the doll she was holding. The doll's mouth was quite large and seemed to have a lot of space inside. It was as if the bread was being sucked.
And I just get the fuck out of me. Aha, that's what you get, because you used to always do that little knot thingy on me.
Into it. I looked at her with a confused expression, and she said,
"She eats everything. She'll probably eat your face off, too."
Then she put her ear to her doll's mouth, and after a moment she suddenly said,
"She wants meat. She says the bread is not delicious."
I was horrified and just closed the door. Then she shouted from outside the door,
"Babies need to eat protein to grow taller."
A few days later, there was another knock on the door, and when I looked out the window, she was standing at my front door, holding her doll. The doll looked different. It appeared to have grown in size, and its hair had grown longer. The frown was less prominent than before, but it was still a creepy face. I was unsure whether it was the same doll as before or a different doll, and I wanted to look at it more closely. I opened the door and handed her a sandwich. She fed the sandwich to her doll. I looked closely at the doll. Teeth that weren't there before had grown, and it looked as if the doll was chewing the sandwich. I thought to myself, is this a doll designed to have jaws that move automatically? Is it just my imagination? I felt an inexplicable, unpleasant feeling rush over me, and I closed the door. The president of the company that made that doll must have been controlled by an evil spirit, I muttered to myself as she continued to feed the doll outside the house. From that day on, she kept coming to my house, but I stopped answering the door because looking at that doll gave me goosebumps all day. After a few days, I was used to ignoring her knocks. Then, one night, I woke up startled when I heard a child's angry voice outside the front door. I checked the time. It was 3 a.m., and I was irritated. I carefully looked out the window. In the darkness, I saw the woman standing, holding the hand of a doll that was bigger than before. This time, the doll was standing on the ground. The doll's face had a severe frown. The woman knocked on the door and screamed,
"My child wants to eat soup with meat right now!"
Then she tried to open the window of my house. "Damn, I'm a vegetarian!" I was so angry that I screamed at her, and then she disappeared. The next day, as I was passing through the neighborhood, I noticed a police line had been placed on my neighbor's house. I asked a local resident standing there what was going on, and what he said was shocking.
You know the woman who carries a doll and begs every day? She killed the man who lived in this house.
Oh, shit.
However, the method of murder was a bit bizarre. The man's stomach was cut open with the doll's fingernails. The police said the doll's fingernails were sharp as knives. What's even more shocking is that she made soup with the flesh of the man's corpse. When the police asked why she did such a thing, she said that her baby's favorite food was human soup.
See you tomorrow. That I don't think I forgot about my Chrissy Bear.
He pointed to the doll that was lying at the scene as he explained.
The doll was so heavy that when the police cut open its stomach, they found a bunch of soup inside. However, they said there were things inside the doll's stomach that looked like intestines, and they were as realistic as real intestines. The police said they couldn't figure out where the doll was made. They said they'd never seen such a doll in their lives, and that it was made of an unknown material other than plastic.
I froze on the spot. I looked at the doll. It was bigger than when it came to my house the night before.
Yep. I hope this doll right here is literally in your dreams, looking at you like that.
Its hair was long and thick. Its teeth and fingernails were like blades, and it had a faint smile on its face. I quickly returned home, and for several days I had terrible nightmares about the doll eating my flesh. I later learned the woman's story. She was homeless at the time, and someone had left the doll next to her, so she carried it around with her, thinking it was her baby. People thought she was crazy, but no one has figured out who made the doll, who gave it to her, or how it grew.
I'm Arjun, and this is my story. This happened a few months ago. I'm a guy just out of college and was searching for a job. During that time, I was living with my parents in one of the big cities in South India.
I'm horny as fuck. When me had one of these ghost bitches fuck you?
My parents had to go out to meet a friend of theirs, leaving me alone in the house, and I was sort of spooked because the night before I had watched one of the scariest horror movies. My house has 2 floors. My room and the bathroom is upstairs. They left early and I got ready to get into the shower. I had the weird habit of playing loud music when I take a bath, but this time my phone was low on battery, so I charged it and switched on YouTube to play music on my TV. Before I went into the bathroom, I flipped on the light switch, which was outside the room. A few minutes passed after I got in the shower. I was bathing and enjoying the music when suddenly the bathroom light turns off. I ignored it, thinking it might be because of a power outage. But then my mind started to wonder, if this is a power outage, why the heck is the TV still playing music?
Yeah.
I could feel knots in my stomach as I thought of the possible reasons why the light bulb went off. There was no way the problem was with the bulb because it was recently replaced. But then that meant someone had switched it off from outside. I got out of the shower, wrapped my towel around my waist, and had my hand on the doorknob. When suddenly, I heard the sound of the switch being flipped and the light in the bathroom came back on. By this point, I was trembling in fear. I peeked out the door and shouted, "Hello? Mom? Dad? Are you guys back?" But there was no answer.
Nigga got abs. Yeah, of course he got abs. You expect him to be fat and sloppy like you?
Then, I heard the sound of some plates being thrown down on the floor below from the kitchen. I reminded myself that I'm an adult now, and I gathered my courage and decided to go check what was happening. I let the music on the TV continue playing loudly for additional courage. Then I reached the top of the stairs. I slowly peeked from the top of the stairs to the floor below. There I saw some plates and utensils on the floor, but I couldn't see anyone. The rational part of my mind started coming up with explanations, like that it could have all been a coincidence. Once I had been watching for a minute or so and couldn't see anyone, I walked down the remaining stairs, checked all through the floor, including the closets, and even made sure the back door to the house was locked. I was about to relax, thinking I was just getting paranoid, when suddenly the music playing upstairs stopped, and heavy footsteps started coming from the stairs like someone was walking down them. I couldn't just stand there and wait to see who it was, so I ran. I ran outside the house wearing just my towel and waited near the gate of my house without even my phone. Almost an hour later, my parents returned and I told them what happened, but obviously they thought I was just pranking them. When we went back into the house, I was alert, expecting an attack from anywhere, but nothing happened. Then my mom scolded me for being irresponsible and leaving the back door to the house open.
Shit.
I almost fainted when she said that because I'm dead certain that it was locked when I was looking around earlier. To this day, I still wonder what would have happened if I had waited to see the person coming down the stairs. I never want to know the answer because I'm sure something bad would have happened to me by whoever or whatever it was that turned off the bathroom light.
Hi, my name is Estefania, but I prefer to be called Tefa. I'm from Honduras, a small Central American country known for its urban legends or stories.
CJ,
whatever you
about to go to bed after watching these with me, you definitely about to have some nightmares.
want to call them. However, my experience is completely...
But what I usually do is, after I watch these shows, I turn on the TV, I make sure I got the big monitor on, and I watch something completely different. I watch something so fucking positive to where I go to sleep all jolly and shit. I always do that.
different from what is told throughout the country. This happened 2 weeks ago. It was a Thursday night. I took out the trash because the garbage truck came on Friday morning. It was late, around 2 a.m., and I got out through the back door. To be clear, it is a glass door, but it is always locked. I got out with the garbage bags when suddenly I saw a man, a very tall man. He was wearing black clothes and a black hat with a red ribbon around the hat. He was facing me and I thought it was weird. So I told him, "I'm sorry, sir, are you okay? Are you lost?" I did not receive an answer from him. I asked him again, "Sir, are you lost?" "Sorry, but you are in private property. You shouldn't be here." Not an answer. I started to get annoyed, so I screamed at him, "Sir, if you don't leave, I'm going to have to call the police." He moved his head a little bit, but he didn't say anything. I screamed, "That's it! I'm calling the police!" I went inside to get my phone, and when I got back outside again, he was gone. I didn't allow it to bother me. The next morning, I decided to ask the guard about the man, whether he had seen him before, or whether we could check the cameras near my house, which is clearly part of my yard where everything happened. He played the part where I saw the man, and when I saw the video, my heart dropped, because there was no man in the footage.
I knew it.
I was talking by myself. The guard looked at me, confused. I thanked him and returned home. I tried not to think about it, but it was the only thing that came to mind. Did I have a vision? Was it a ghost? Who was that man? When I told the story to my family members and friends, they all said the same thing. That night, I had an encounter.
When you trying to grab your soap that you dropped and Z is behind you. That's exactly how I be. That's exactly how I be for real.
A few years ago, a married couple decided they needed a break and chose to go out for the night. They called their most trusted babysitter. The two kids were sound asleep in bed when the babysitter arrived, so the babysitter just got to sit around and make sure everything was okay with the children. Later that night, the babysitter became bored and went downstairs to watch TV. but she couldn't because there was no cable downstairs. The couple didn't want their children to watch too much garbage. So she called them and asked them if she could watch cable in their room upstairs. Of course, the couple agreed. But the babysitter had one last request. She asked if she could cover up the angel statue outside the bedroom window with a blanket or cloth because it made her nervous. The phone line was silent for a moment, and the father, who was talking to the babysitter at the time, said, "Take the children and get out of the house. We'll call the police.
Oh, shit.
We don't own an angel statue." The police found both of the children and the babysitter slumped in pools of their own blood within 3 minutes of the call. No statue was found.
What the fuck?
My name is Charles. I was 18 when this story happened, and I was living
Did
in
y'all just see
Texas,
that?
USA. Me and my girlfriend Amanda were taking a walk down the street and enjoying a date. However, while we were walking, I felt like someone was watching us. I didn't think...
Alright, see, y'all starting to type less and less, and y'all starting to scare me now. Look, I'm up watching this by myself. If I'm up watching this by myself, I'm going to bed. That is scary. This is scary.
Much of it, though.
I'm getting off of this, turning back on my lights. I cannot watch this by myself. This shit
After
is
we got
scary.
home, Amanda and I were planning a trip to go and have a fun time. After talking and getting drunk, we were making out, and when out of the corner of my eye, I could see a human shadow in my living room window, about 5 meters away from me. This scared me terribly, and because I was drunk, I just continued kissing my girlfriend. However, the shadow didn't move, and suddenly, beside the shadow, I saw a flash. The creep must have taken a photo. Being inebriated, I ran outside to confront whoever it was, but what I saw next gave me chills. On the window, I saw something written in blood. It said, "You're going to pay for what you did." I called the police, and they investigated, but they could get nothing helpful from the evidence. A week passed, and I continued to see and hear weird things, like tapping on my window, and human-like shadows. A while later, my girlfriend and I went on our trip. Being crazy 18-year-olds, we went to the hotel and were testing the bed that night. While we were doing that, I heard someone say outside of the door, "You're going to pay." So I knew it was the creep. My girlfriend and I immediately rushed out to confront them and were terrified when we saw a man with a knife in his mouth and blood streaming down his hand. We both screamed and rushed inside. Amanda was crying, so I made out with her to calm her down, since that's what she likes, and then called the police. The police caught the guy and told us everything. What scared me the most was that it was Amanda's old boyfriend, and he was trying to kill me since I was Amanda's boyfriend now. Hello, my name is Ed. I'm from the Philippines. This story I'm about to share, it's not mine, but rather the story of my friend, Sarah. She used to work as a cashier at the SM Cebu. One night after a long shift, she decided to return to her boarding house, where she lived alone. She got a text from her friends inviting her to have fun, but she refused politely. She just wanted to have some alone time. She almost shrieked when she noticed someone behind her in the window, staring at her while she was trying to organize her belongings.
No.
But she immediately had a sigh of relief when she realized it was her boyfriend. She greeted him with a big smile and motioned to him to come inside, but he didn't move. Sarah didn't understand and asked, "How long have you been standing there?" But she received no response. This bothered her
Oh shit. It's over there by you.
Because he was just standing there, doing nothing, but staring at her with dead eyes. A bit frustrated, she decided to go out and meet him. But when she went outside, he was no longer there. She thought he was pranking her, hiding. But how could he have hid so quickly? After all, there was no place in sight to hide. She dialed her boyfriend's number while she was searching for him, hoping to hear the loud ringtone. She knew her boyfriend would never put his phone on silent. But she heard nothing. Instead, her boyfriend's voice on the phone greeting her. She asked him where he was and to stop hiding. Confused, having no idea, he asked, "What are you talking about? I'm currently at home." She couldn't understand. But I just saw you, staring at me just a minute ago, she replied.
What the fuck?
How is that even possible, he asked. You are aware that I would always call before visiting. This scared her, because he was right. He would always call or at least text if he were to visit. If it wasn't you, then who was I talking to? She said fearfully. She got goosebumps as she frantically looked around. Sweat began to trickle down her face. Her boyfriend answered, Sarah, it's okay. I'll be there. Just go back inside and don't open the door. I'll call you when I arrive. He hung up, and she immediately went inside, locked all the doors, windows, and started praying. A few minutes later, her boyfriend called, asking her to open the door. They embraced. He hugged her tightly and made sure she was all right. They talked about the odd situation. This also scared Sarah's boyfriend, so he decided to bring Sarah to his place to spend the night in safety. Years have passed. She is now happily married to her boyfriend. They are now also blessed with a daughter. Sarah's husband loves to play with their daughter, enjoying life, seeming as if he had forgotten everything about what had happened those years ago. Thinking back, Sarah still questions herself. What would have happened if she hadn't called him and just kept looking for that person who stood outside her window?
I already did that one.
This happened to
Are we gonna start watching some Nightmare Tale ones? The Nightmare Tale ones gonna be the crazy ones. The Curry Killer. What the fuck is this? I want to see what this is. I'm so horny, bro. Chris, I got you, bro. I'm gonna hit this girl up right here. Hold on, where's she at? Where's she at? Or she just, I literally just clicked on her. Yep, her. I'm gonna have this girl right here hit you up.
The curry poisoning incident of 1998 is a famous mass murder.
Oh, I forgot. These are like true stories. It's a true crime story. Wait, let me look it up. The Curry. Oh, it's real. It's real. It's real. I do not live in Detroit. Yo, it's real. What the fuck?
A case in Japan, which is still discussed today due to the disturbing nature of the crime. In the Sonobe district of Wakayama, Japan, there was an annual summer festival in July. Compared to other festivals, it was a relatively small affair, but it was well known in the area for one reason: its delicious curry. It might seem odd that a typically Indian dish like curry would be so popular, but it, or rather, the Japanese take on curry, which tends to be more saucy and mild, is a hugely
Someone called my name and no one is here. I'm scared as fuck right now. You're fucking lying.
popular dish there, especially among children. People would come to the festival for the dish alone, which was made by a group of volunteers, and it was something everyone in the area looked forward to. That day, as always, people of all ages lined up and paid for a serving of curry, which smelled delicious from atop freshly steamed rice. Dozens of bowls had been served and eaten that day, and it wasn't long until people began feeling ill and vomiting. Fearing it was food poisoning, they were all rushed to the hospital, but the staff there were perplexed at the symptoms which did not resemble food poisoning, and the rapidly declining condition of many of the people who were hospitalized. Unfortunately, in total, 4 people ended up dying in excruciating pain. 2 adults and 2 children. 63 others remain hospitalized from what turned out to be acute arsenic poisoning. A police investigation was quickly launched and a small paper cup with traces of arsenic was found at the scene.
Shit.
Attention quickly focused on the 37-year-old mother of 4, Masumi Hayashi. A witness had seen her at the curry pot, and it was discovered that she had easy access to arsenic because her husband was an insect exterminator and carried several types of poisons. Prior to the murders, Hayashi had been an insurance saleswoman. After her arrest, she and her husband were indicted on a number of insurance fraud charges as well. Hayashi was also tried for 3 other attempted murders by poison that had occurred during the previous 10 years, with the motive in those cases being life insurance benefits. Her family, known to be unusual and abrasive at best, had previously been shunned by their neighbors who had no interest in socializing with them and feared being associated with them. The prosecution argued that this is what motivated Hayashi to poison the communal curry. Lab analysis showed that the arsenic found in the curry was identical to the arsenic she had in her own home from her husband's extermination business. Hayashi pleaded not guilty, and although her lawyers insisted on her innocence because only circumstantial evidence existed, she was found guilty of having mixed in the arsenic, enough to kill 100 people. Hayashi was sentenced to death. She appealed twice in 2005 and 2009. However, the Osaka High Court rejected her appeals and upheld her death sentence. Hayashi sat on death row for 8 more years before petitioning one final time for a retrial in June 2017. However, the request was rejected. Tragically, that very same month, after a violent altercation at her home, Hayashi's 37-year-old daughter drove towards Kansai Airport with her 4-year-old, stopped suddenly on the Skygate Airport access bridge, took her child into her arms, and jumped off, killing herself and her 4-year-old daughter. Post this event, when the police attended Hayashi's daughter's residence in Wakayama City, they found the woman's 16-year-old daughter Kokoro Tsurusaki lying in a pool of her own blood. She had been beaten to death just hours earlier. Later that day, Kokoro's father was found nearby, lying on the side of a road after an apparent suicide attempt. It was all a very tragic end to a very troubled family. And to this day, Mayumi Hayashi resides in prison on death row, rotting away in solitary confinement. A quick.
That's actually true, though. Damn. You know my name because I heard my name. No, what is it? You should tell me though. You should tell me though.
Futakuchi-onna, the two-mouthed woman.
Two-mouthed woman, okay.
Katashi could barely keep one foot in front of the other as he walked to his home. It was late at night, and most of the people in the village were fast asleep. Except for his friends, of course. They were still sitting near the woods, drinking. Katashi was in no hurry to head home. His wife had recently passed away, leaving behind him and his daughter Eri. His parents urged him to marry again for the sake of his 6-year-old daughter, and so he did. To Mariko. Mariko was selfish and cruel and couldn't be bothered with her stepdaughter. All she was interested in were jewels and clothes. Katashi couldn't bring himself to work properly after his wife died, and so the pots that he made were of inferior quality. It had been weeks now, and he hadn't been able to sell any of his wares. Mariko began complaining about the lack of income. Forget about the food. What about the silk I want to buy? She complained. Karashi grew more depressed. He started to stay out late at nights just so he couldn't hear his wife complain.
I thought that this was gonna be like
He did miss his daughter.
The skeleton woman. Alright, we're gonna do this one.
Genki was heading back home after spending 6 months away being an apprentice of a blacksmith. His friend Aoki was with him in the boat as they crossed the river to get to their village. "Aren't you tired after the long journey?" Aoki asked. Genki smiled. "How can I be? I'm happy to finally return to my home." Aoki grinned. "That smile must be for someone special. Let me guess. Suki." "Who else?" Genki asked. He had no family and lived all by himself. In the house next door lived Suki with her family. Ever since they were kids, he had been in love with her. She had been heartbroken when he announced his plans to leave, but she knew how important this apprenticeship was for him. "You think she's waiting for you after all these months?" Genki's smile withered. Suki's family wasn't too keen on her relationship with Genki because he was an orphan, but he hoped his apprenticeship would convince Suki's parents that he was serious about building his future, and so agree to their union. "Yes," Genki replied, but he realized he wasn't entirely sure. Suki was young and beautiful and had received many proposals. What were the chances she wasn't coerced into marrying someone her family deemed worthy? He decided to change the subject. "What of your wife Hayami? You must be excited to see her again." Aoki smiled sadly. "Unfortunately, she's not well. I'm anxious to see her." "Don't worry, she'll recover soon, especially now that you'll be with her." When they reached the village, it was late at night and silence had descended upon it. Genki threw an uneasy glance at the house next to his where Suki lived. He couldn't wait to announce his arrival, and he wondered if she had received any of his letters. Genki went inside his home and got into his bed. Exhausted after the long journey, his eyelids grew heavy and he slipped into an easy, deep sleep. It was before dawn when he felt a touch on his arm. His eyes flickered open and he saw, right next to him on the bed, his beloved Suki, carrying a lantern adorned with flowers.
"Oh, your name is Pat?" I want to do like one more story.
It was an early morning. My campus didn't offer housing and I lived about a half a mile from school, so I started my journey as usual while playing on my phone. I glanced up to see an old man heading towards me on a bicycle. Normally, I'd step aside to let bikers and skaters pass, but he braked instead. I stopped too, wondering if there was something wrong. He walked up to me and said,
"Don't worry, I'm not gonna hurt you."
I felt chill.
Leaving you one by one. No, I'm going with y'all. I'm going with y'all.
Instantly. I didn't know what to think. I just looked up at him with a fearful and confused expression. I was gathering up the courage to tell him that I was late for class and I should go, but before I could say anything, he said,
"Get off the grass!"
Looking down, I noticed I'd stepped over towards the road and onto the grass. I stepped off slowly and he said,
"You wouldn't want to step on any bugs or get your shoes dirty now, would you?"
He raised his finger and asked me what my name was. I told him, and he replied,
"Don't worry, I'm not gonna hurt you."
The same chills ran through my body again, but before I could say anything, the man said,
"Get off the grass! You wouldn't want to step on any bugs or get your shoes dirty now, would you?"
I looked down to see that I was back on the edge of the sidewalk again. This had to be deja vu. He asked for my name once more. I said my name again, but he interrupted me before I could finish. He told me his grandchildren are down the road and needed gas money. I told him I didn't have any spare change, or any change at all for that matter. He continued to ask me again, and I gave him the same answer. Eventually, I headed towards my school. I turned to see if he was still there, but he was gone. As I was walking, I approached the intersection. There was a truck on its side. It must have tipped over while turning the corner.
What the fuck?
If you want to help support the channel, head on over to...
Okay, but I'm gonna be right back because I'm gonna take a shit. Alright. Hold up, I'll be right back. I think that's it for me today. I'm not scared, but I'm just going to end it off. I'm gonna mute my stream real quick to see what they doing. Hello? Boom, boom, boom. I'm about to see what they doing real quick. Real quickie quick. Alright, y'all. Well, I'm in stream. I'm gonna be back tomorrow, you know. Gotta stay consistent. What the fuck did I literally just look at? But yeah, thank everybody for tuning in, chatting, and being here. Thank y'all so much.